presents on corruption. He's from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, lived and traveled to several African countries, and has a BA in International Relations and Political Science from Lynn University, Boca Raton, Florida. He completed his MS at ESCAR, where he's currently pursuing his doctorate. Bernard currently works as a regional security analyst for Africa at IJET.
Thank you. I think I'm going to stand. Normally what I'm going to talk about is my experiences that I had when I conducted two recent research in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And so I thought maybe this sharing what I experienced there could be of interest to some of the students who are looking forward to conduct research. And so if you look at the Democratic Republic of the Congo itself, a country which is located in Central Africa. And so I'm going to discuss issues of corruption by government officials. And for me, I will tell you that my last research that I conducted today in July of 2011, my travel, the travel started just there at the border. I flew through Bujumbura, Burundi, and so I had to go to the Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo. And so when I'm going to the DRC, to go through the border, everybody has to show their papers. You have your passport or something that will allow you to cross the border. And for all the passengers, the travelers, we had valid papers. And so you get there, and the security folks will look at you and say, well, they will look at your paper, and then they say, and then next. Well, what's next? Some could they can even confiscate your passport or your travel document. And so you need to know. Sometimes you can ask, why are you confiscating my passport or my travel document while everything is in order? So the point I'm trying to make here is that in some places, including the Democratic Republic of the Congo, researchers may run into difficulties that sometimes ethical issues could be overlooked sometimes. You will run into a situation where in the places where the Congo, corruption is a way of life. So it is common. Now, as a researcher who is coming from the United States, from England, from France, where bribing someone is illegal, and so you're going to a country where it's common. So what are you going to do? Are you going to stop doing the research when they tell you to bribe people? You go back to Washington, or are you going to bribe people? So those are kind of questions now you have to start, that will run in your mind and say, okay, I am presented with this situation. I have to bribe somebody, even if my paper are in order. I needed to bribe somebody so that I can just pass through the border. So that was, the case I had to deal with. You're saying, okay, I'm here for a reason, but what are you going to do? You're going to just say, okay, I'm going back where you came from, or you're going to go. So those are, they are real issues. And so once I was able even just to cross the border, the next level was to get access to the particular area where I was going to carry out the research. And so in certain situation, again, the Eastern Congo is very volatile, so there is still violence. In certain areas, it's very difficult to get access to certain places. It's either you can request help from the United Nations peacekeepers who are there, or you could use government security forces to get to those places. Now, again, you look at how are you going to get to those places. If you use government security forces, I can guarantee you it's not something that is going to be for free. Some kind of corruption will be involved into the whole transportation from one place to another. You will have to do it sometimes. And again, for people who are coming from these societies where to bribe, it's illegal. And then when you're faced with such a situation as a researcher, and then you say, God, am I really going to bribe some people so I can get even access to an area where I'm going to do a research? They can also deny access to that place if you don't want to give them money. They can tell you that that place is not accessible. And once they tell you that that place is not accessible, it means to say that they are looking for something so that they can get access. Through them you can get access to the place where you want to go. And so again, it's up to you then to make up your mind. Are you willing to bribe people so you can get access to that place? Those are again ethical issues. It happens. It can be illegal in some places, but acceptable in some areas, like the Democratic Republic. Now it comes an issue where even if at the time you get access to an area where you're conducting your research, like Sam and other presenters say, it's who are you going to interview the people? And in some cases in the DRC, if you make a mistake where you did not make an arrangement, let's say you have a network of people in the country, and you have this kind of mentality and say, I'm going to go to a government building or a government office, they're going to direct me where to go. Then you're going to be in trouble, in a sense that the government officials, especially if you're doing your research related to politics or any hot topic for that particular area or region you're trying to look into, they will basically systematically select people who will give you information that you want to hear. It means you will go there and they select ABC and say, okay, you need some people to talk to. Oh, we know some people. That's not a problem. But you can be told to come later tomorrow because they know they are going to select some people who are going to tell you some lies. And so if you are doing a research in places like that, countries that the corruption is a problem. So I would recommend in certain countries like the DRC where there are local organizations, non-governmental organizations, or certain organizations that we call the civil society organizations. You can do your homework before you go to certain places like that. Make sure you have contacts in the country, and don't go there and rely on certain government officials who are going to tell you where to go or to find people to interview. So that could be problematic in a sense that everything you're going to collect from people, unknown people or unreliable people, is going to be, you might be publishing wrong information and think like, oh, anyway, I carried research, I interviewed people, but what kind of people did you interview? That's another thing you have to ask yourself. Did I interview wrong people? Did I interview the right people? And so do some kind of research before you go to the field. You know exactly where you're going, you know who you're going to interview, and how you're going to do it. And the next thing now is one of the things that I really encountered when I was there is that there are certain places that you are even restricted to go. My research, the last research that I conducted there was on trying to understand the traditional methods of resolving conflict within communities in the Eastern Congo. And so I had to talk to the judges at the peace tribunal in a certain area called Uvira. And so getting access to the judges was kind of, I had to maneuver, pass from one place to another. I had to make hundreds and hundreds of phone calls just to get access to the judges. And then by the time you get access to the judges, the one thing you, like Sam said, okay, why do you need this information, first of all? And so you need to be very careful and explain yourself in a very clear language. It depends, because if you are not clear about what you want, because the judge who's sitting there who want to talk to you might think like, okay, you're gonna get me in trouble. If I tell you this, if I pass this information to you, I can get in trouble. So as a researcher already, you're seen as some kind of politician or security. Somebody's coming from Washington D.C., maybe he's a CIA, is trying to collect some information from us, and so forth. So you need to be very clear when to the folks you're talking to, so they understand at least what you want before you can even, before they can even sit down with you and accept to be interviewed. And so for that particular case of mine, I'm sitting with the judges in a courtroom where 5 judges, and individually I'm talking to them just together. But I could see through their eyes, some folks were not comfortable in that setting. Yeah, thinking, oh gosh, okay, this is the question you're asking is so hard. They don't want the other judges to hear about that. So they would probably, if they were alone in a specific place, they could tell you more. So I could see that in their eyes, and so again, in terms of flexibility, like Sam said, I had to look for other alternatives. Do I have to go with this, putting all these judges together and ask, or I should probably try and find another setting where we will have a serious conversation about what I'm looking at. So I had to interview them collectively, and individually again I had to go to, we had to make several appointments with these judges to make sure that I really collected the most important information that I needed from both of these judges. Now, the most complicated case, which was for me, I'm from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, but at this point, I became a stranger in my own land. I'm sitting there. I am told by the clerk at the court that you cannot photograph this building, because I needed, I wanted a picture of, it was written the Peace Tribunal of Uvira. So this is the Tribunal Penal, the Tribunal Uvira. But what happened was, I was told, okay, if the clerk told, if you photograph that particular building, you are going to be arrested by the security force. Don't even try. And then I said, okay, well, it's just a photo, and then I walk away. Why are you saying that I cannot photograph it? But he was very clear. He said, do not, because you don't know who's behind you, don't know who's looking. It's you. So once they see you taking a picture of this building, they might, anybody might have the interpretation. Do you want to blow this building after maybe after you come back, you're going to blow it, and something like that. So I was told, but for myself, because I needed the information, I was very interested in taking the picture. But then I had to ask myself, should I take this picture, get in trouble, or I just have to walk away? So those are the kind of things as a researcher you need to keep in mind. Like I said, I'm a Congolese. I would say, okay, now, I can speak the local language here. Let me just take the picture, and if somebody comes, I'm going to talk to them in the local language they will understand. But again, I was out of the country for so long, I did not know how they were going to react. Even if I'm a Congolese, it could be another situation. So I needed the picture seriously, but in the end, I walked away without the picture, because I knew if I take the picture and then I get in trouble, the camera is gone. All the data I collected before, other places I photographed, I'm not going to get any data. So it means that one particular error, mistake you make in one place can jeopardize everything else. So what I did, I said, okay, I'm going to walk away. This picture, forget about it. So it's now, those are kind of things as a researcher. You have to really think about these kind of things. If you go to these very dangerous places, what kind of things do you have to know before you go there? And so the last maybe piece of advice I can give you with is in terms of what's same again, I believe maybe some other speakers talked about it, is the sense of being flexible in unfamiliar situations. So there are places where you will go, you are not really familiar with the place, and you know, researchers will come in their mind with the idea that we are told in school to do A, B, C, D. Now, when you run into a problem where those A, B, C, D don't work, what are you going to do? Be flexible. You know, try to think independently based on the situation that you run into, and so you have to think. You know, you think critically. You think of what you have to do, especially when it comes to your personal safety. So you need to be thinking you know, critically and to know what you can do in order to conduct your research in a very safe way, that you're not going to get in trouble by the time you end or you finish your research. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bernard. Any questions?
I have So I had a chance to observe a lot of corruption from civil servants when I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Turkmenistan. And I want to kind of just describe what I saw, and then let me know if you feel that there's some similarity with your experience. What we saw a lot of was school teachers taking bribes from their students for grades, and also doctors charging patients for services. Both of those professions are government paid, so they do get a salary. And the typical volunteer's reaction is automatically they're greedy or they're taking advantage. But as we learned over time, that in order to keep a position in a school or in a hospital, often you have to pay a bribe to the person above you in order to keep your job. And chances are they're asking money from you because they've got to pay the person above them. And this is every year. You basically have to pay for your job every year. So a sense of empathy eventually crept into our understanding of corruption. And I wonder, did you have that experience? Is it similar in the Congo?
Yeah, well, it's similar, maybe even worse in the Congo. In the Congo, it's the same thing. Again, I was even talking to Dr. Yeah. We were talking about the same thing. Is that the little guy? If you want to, you know, if you run into you want to get something, whether it's from a government official, the hierarchy. If the guy is a top official, you have to think of a big sum of money, big amount. And if someone is, is just a clerk, and so that's how less you're gonna pay as well. So it's common, even in public schools, sometimes private. You can, school student can pay money to pass even a class. I've had a situation in the Congo where I've seen university students where they go to university, but they never attended the class, and all they do is to pay money, and by the end of the year, they get the diploma. That's all they wanted. They wanted a diploma. They didn't want to go to school. So it can happen. It happens again and again, especially in government. It is because of most of these countries, people are not paid at all. In the Congo, you can spend like the whole year as a public servant, not getting even 1 cent from the government. So you go to work Monday to Friday, but you will never get money from the government. And so the only way these people are paid is, the regular folks like me who's going there to do research, or the residents themselves will have to pay for their salaries. So because they don't get any salary from the government, therefore bribing them or some kind of form of corruption will be the way for them to get money. So that's why you'll see, like you say, even keeping a position. If I'm a clerk, I want to keep my position. I am still. Sometimes we continue to bribe your superior so they can keep you at that job. Why? Because they're not paid as well. Yeah.
Hi, Brendan. You started to allude to the multiple layers of different sorts of regimes of flexibility that you have to deal with. Without asking you, don't you ever get exhausted with this? I mean, how do you negotiate? Having to deal with the Uvira like municipal authority is on one hand, the Congolese federal authorities on another, the South Kivu, the South Kivu. Provincial authorities, various territorial authorities, judicial authorities. The way you seemed to be leaning towards this was to suggest that there's something important about forming networks, there's something important about forming relationships and so forth. But if you could just take a minute and tell us how you exactly develop these networks, how do you deal with the multiple kinds of particularly in the Congo. I mean, any researcher in the Congo just gets exhausted by pull into a new village or something, and you've instantly got 7 guys showing up with clipboards knocking on your door saying, I'm from the director of migration, and I'm from the and all these sorts of things. So how does one contend with these multiple sorts of? It's not just one bureaucracy; it's multiple forms of bureaucracy. But how does one contend with all these multiple forms of bureaucracy hitting you at once?
Yeah, and very important question. And I think the way you can deal with, if you don't want to deal with bureaucracy, is like I say, if you have a network of people on the ground, so you need, and the way you can do it, personally as a Congolese, I have friends, family members who live in the Congo. It's easy for me to connect with them. Now, if you don't know, you don't have anybody. Like I said, there are civil society organizations that work independently from government. If you sit down with them and then you explain what you want to do, probably they can help you to locate and people you want to do. But it's very difficult if you follow in the path of, I'm going to talk to the government officials, because, like you say, you can move from one office to another, and from each and every office, you will have to pay money. So I don't know how much, how many millions you have, but I can tell you, if you follow that path, then you're going to be in trouble, because every person, like I said, my trouble started at the border. You start right away from the border until you get where you go, you will pay money to everybody. And if you don't want to pay, then you have to go back home. So it's not like, okay, I want to pay to bribe people, but I work in the security field. I work in the security field. We are very honest with this kind of things. If you want to, for your own safety, if you have to pay money, so that, because there, it's not a sin, or it's something common. Everybody can bribe everybody. So it means, so if you want to make an exception, like, guy from DC, I don't want to do that, then make sure you're not going to get anything, because it's a way of life. Everybody expects something, some kind of favor. They don't even think it's bribing. That's a way of life. So everybody would have to pay some money to do something. For you to get even papers from government officials, you need to pay money. They are legal, the legal fee. But on top of the legal fee, you have to also pay some money so that they can, or if you need some kind of quick service, you have to pay all of those things. So I would encourage, instead of going through all this bureaucracy, build a network. People, friends of friends. If you have friends, maybe here in the United States who know some people in the DRC, they could help you to identify people. But if you go through the path, following the government way of doing things, you can spend days and days even trying to just find people to interview. So, but if you build those relationships with civil society organization or independent organization, and the way some people do, the MONUSCO, the UN folks, or any other non-governmental organization, whether international or local, they're the kind of folks, I would say, are reliable rather than just going to government bureaucracy. Yes.
Do you have to pay the person you're interviewing?
Yes. Okay. That's another thing. Thank you for raising that question. When I there was something written in a sheet of paper that all the participants will, not be paid. Yeah, sometimes, in this society, people, you have to understand it. There was time where I would interview someone for 2 hours. But then I don't tell you to give them money, but you look in their eyes, it's like they're telling me, please, it's time now for you to give me money. It's the kind of thing like that. So it means you can say, okay, participant in whatever you have from George Mason University, they told you, all the participants are now going to be paid. Thank you. Right. But, again, the people there, when they see a researcher coming from Washington, D.C., they will see a rich guy. So they are willing to sit down with this guy even for 3 hours, so that in the end, they can get even $1, $2 to $3, to spend with their family. So, and then if we, as a human, you will say, well, okay, this guy is just sacrifice 2 3 hours. You'll be able to, if you have some money, it's not a problem. Like for me, if you ask me, I'm not going to say that it's a problem, even if I wrote it ethically, yes, because is it a lie? I don't know. You can interpret yourself, but for me, I would say, okay, 2 hours. This guy might spend with me 2 hours here, but when he goes back, probably he doesn't have anything to buy even food for his family. So if I have $1, $2, maybe $5, I can do that. I can pay them. I can give them some money, not to just thank them, not paying them like, okay, I pay you because of your interview, but for humanity, I just think like, okay, they give me a favor, I should do this.
Just another sort of curious practical question. So in a bribery interaction like that, they of course see you as a rich guy and want to get as much as out of your pockets, but how do you know how much is enough?
Yeah, the theory, for some people, they will tell you the theory, most of these countries, here we can use US dollars, but in some countries like the Congo, we have, franc Congo, you can guess yourself. Some researchers I've seen before, they will have all these small notes, and then in one pocket they put, small ones, and then you can give whatever you want. There is no particular amount of money that you say this is really what this person deserves or not. It's up to you, and some people will not even ask for money because they think you will do it by the time you will end. But the complication might come now when you go there. You think, okay, I told these people that no money, and then you walk away, and then people will come up there and say, boss, how are you leaving us like this? They need money. So then you say, okay, I told you I'm not going to pay you. But even if you say that, they expect something from you in the end because they know, okay, you're not going to let them sit there for 2 hours for nothing. So they will be really willing to come after you if you go, you just walk away without giving them money.
So it's like kind of living a tip, basically.
Yeah, that's a good way. It's gonna be like tip. So they're gonna say, okay, for the service we offered you, could you please give us something? You're not required to do it, but because of the level of poverty, people are just desperate when they see someone coming from outside. They think that person has money, and therefore they expect something.
Do they legally should not do it, or it's not?
No, legally, like in the Congo, even
or
if
it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Even in the street, you can just, that's your money, I'm going. Yeah. So legally, there you can give money even in the street if you want. But yeah, you can do that. So it's not something like the government official is going to come after you and say, you just paid bribe, or the number is not.
What about for them?
For them, they're happy because they get money.
No, I mean like for them officially, is it supposed to be illegal for them to take bribes? Or
Well,
it's not legal?
In theory, yes. No, anyway, bribe is not a thing that everybody can advocate for. For government, we have in the DRC what they call the zero tolerance for bribe. Zero tolerance for corruption. Forget about those words, they don't mean anything. It's just zero tolerance in paper, but in reality, there's no, they can tolerate it.
So a question about about surveys. I'm just coming at it from a slightly different angle. I do media research, but I know more about Cameroon and Algeria and Nigeria. I don't know what happens in the Congo, but in media studies, you do pay people to sit and answer what whether it's $1 or $40 in the U.S. or fill out all the products, everything they do. I have not worked in the Congo if there are media studies, because I assume ethnographers run into that, where they're used to being paid to answer questions for advertising purposes.
For media, I'm not familiar with that, but I would assume they could be something like that. But I've never, I personally have never seen it, so I don't know. But I would assume that it could be actually, because corruption is very high. The level of corruption is just from the small guy in the street to the office of the president. So it means everybody can do it. Yeah, even in the media.
Well, the media it's not corruption. It's just literally you pay people to do a survey. It's not a.
Yeah.
It just is.
You pay people to do the survey.
Yeah, you're paying them to do the survey.
Compensated.
Yeah, compensated.
Composition can happen for sure. That's and for most people prefer to do it that way because they, if someone will know that they're gonna be paid, they will be willing to come.
Right.
So they will come in. But if you just tell them, okay, for this particular research, all the responded and are not gonna be paid. Some people are gonna say, okay, we're done. We're done. I'm not gonna be paid, really? And you think I'm gonna sit here and just talk to you? So, some people will prefer to even go and say, they responded, you're gonna get something, so that they will have this kind of courage to come and talk to you. But if they know it's something okay, free, they can walk away and say, thank you. Maybe we can see each other tomorrow. Yeah, it's another way people use and say, okay, if you want to participate in this, there's some kind of compensation that you look at.
Yes.
Ben, yes.
I have a question. This may depend on the data you are collecting, but there's the exchange of money would affect the veracity of the information, the data you are collecting.
Exchange of money with what?
Say again?
You said exchange of money?
Yeah, the exchange of money by paying the person that you're interviewing. Does that affect the veracity of the data, or does it make it any better?
Yeah, those are very critical question. That's why I said it from the beginning. Sometimes it depends on who you want to interview. And so that's why I say you have to be careful, because once you say to someone, especially to regular folks in the street, because I'm going to go and say, I don't want to talk to the government officials. I'm going to go to the regular folks in the street. Don't do it, because those folks just need your money. So any information that you're going to ask, they can lie to you. All they need is your money. So be careful to go and say, because I'm in this area, and anybody from this area can participate in my study. Don't. Because there are folks who are just there, they need money. And in case the information you need, they might not even respond to what you're looking at. They will respond to what they want you to tell. They don't say, because they just see money. So be selective and look at people that could be serious. And that's why I said have network, because if you go just random people in the street, you're gonna get just wrong information, completely wrong information. Good?
Any other questions?
No, I just wanted to comment about, I think you already said it.
I said it? Okay.
Yeah. I think
Thank you
said it
very
well.
much. Sam, for concluding comments?
It's back to Sam again for concluding comments. I just want to say how glad we are. I think I can say that on behalf of Linda, for all of the presentations, all of the attendance today. This was an experiment, and we can say that, we rejected no hypothesis and accept the alternative hypothesis that it is something that can be done. We want to thank all of our partners, all of our sponsors, the school, the people from University of Life, IT, Paul Snodgrass and his team. You guys have been marvelous today. Thank you so much. And I hope it went well online. I don't know whether our colleagues in Malta are still available watching, but we also want to say thank you to you guys on that. And it's been a great experience, and we hope this is something we're going to be able to continue next year. With Bernard becoming the next African Africa Working Group President. We just want to tell you. Have a good evening.